It just reminded me of this dilemma of fear. And it's so interesting because all of our problems or disturbances, we can trace them back to being afraid in the most innocent way. And as I observe that fear, I recognize that all throughout my life, every fear that I've moved through, the discovery was that, oh, there was nothing to be afraid of. And this is every fear, kind of like just now with maybe being afraid of not having anything to say. It's like, that's not a big deal. It doesn't mean anything at all. It's perfectly allowed and totally fine. And so there's like nothing to fear in that. It's okay. And the more I recognize this, there's such a softness for the human fear. Like it's just held in this compassion where we imagine monsters that aren't really there. And it's funny because if you run away from the monster, you're saying that it's real. And naturally, the faster you run, the more real you think it is, and it gets bigger. But when we stop and get curious, we say, what is this really? And as we look at it, we start to understand it's not anything like we think it is. It's funny because when you put your attention on it, it begins to shrink. It's only when you're not willing to look at it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it reminds me that there's the light that casts out darkness. And really what this is the light of your awareness. When you're willing to look at what is scary, you realize there's nothing to be afraid of. And that's when the dark becomes light. It's kind of like another human being when they might be acting out violently. When you really look, you see this broken heart. You see this child that's terrified. And you realize, oh, I don't need to be afraid of that. And you hold a space of love. And naturally, this speaks to the relationship we have with ourselves. Maybe when we get chaotic and crazy inside, we're simply afraid. And my goodness, that's okay. I wish that there was this, universal understanding that it's okay to be afraid. And if you're disturbed at all, if you're angry at all, if you're stressed at all, there's fear there. And so when we can meet that fear and not run from it, not try and cover it up, not try to avoid it, not try to hide it, but just look at it. And in this, you can look with an awareness that brings love and compassion. And you'll realize that actually, there's nothing to be afraid of, my dear. So just be you. Have fun.